Welcome back. Now we are joined with a phone call by our guest, the Jordanian journalist Ramzy Khoury. Good afternoon, Mr. Ramzy.
Good afternoon, Sarah.
First of all, for the Palestinian issue, how do you see the Israeli aggression on Gaza through and after the first phase of the ceasefire agreement, as we witnessed an Israeli attack on Gaza yesterday?
Well, it is very clear that Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel does not want to continue to the second phase. He's trying to create as many problems as possible, to create delays, because he is very worried about his own coalition. And even in Israel today, the analysts are saying that all of these delays, the attempt to go back to war, etc., are for the benefit of Netanyahu rather than for the benefit of the Israelis, because everybody knows that if they do go back to war, more of the prisoners of war who are in Gaza today will be killed. And therefore, a lot of pressure is going on. On the other hand, Sarah, it is very important to note that the fact that Adam Boehler, who is in charge of the what they call the hostages file, have started direct calls, talks with Hamas inside of Gaza. This is really angering Israel. They are extremely worried that he is going to reach some kind of understanding with Hamas behind Israel's back and without Israeli input. But the act itself is a very clear message that the U.S. administration does not trust Israel, and the U.S. administration does not respect the needs, the personal needs of Netanyahu. They want to see the prisoners of war released, and therefore they took this measure, despite the fact that they know that this will anger the Israeli government, Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition. But we are stuck. We are stuck where we were. There is a problem. If we go back to negotiations, then really it is going back to point zero and restarting everything all over again.
Well, Mr. Ramzy, how do you comment on the efforts of the three mediators to stop the Israeli aggression on Gaza and to go through the next phase of the agreement, as Egypt received Hamas leaders yesterday to discuss the agreement?
Absolutely. The Egyptian document that was adopted by all Arab states, as well as the Islamic states, the Arab states at the summit, they adopted the project, and so did immediately just now the Islamic countries have also adopted it. And Europe came out and said that this is a practical, implementable agreement, and therefore the question is, will America adopt it? Because we know that Israel rejected it from day one, and Israel will reject anything that will be proposed by the Arabs, as it has done all throughout history. So what we have now is that it seems that there is, in addition to the Arab and Islamic consensus behind the Egyptian effort, we also see European consensus building for it, and there would definitely be full support from most countries that are members of the United Nations. But without America adopting it, and without the U.S. administration saying, yes, this is basically what we want to do after we're done with the first phase, then it may be difficult to implement. So we have to see how that progresses. But it is a very clear answer to all of the ridiculous plans that were promoted before by Trump, basically ethnic cleansing of Gaza, and then for the U.S. to own the territory ridiculous notions that the whole world rejected, and therefore Trump said that, okay, let the Arabs give us an answer. Well, the Arabs did give an answer. And the answer is very clear, it is very doable and very applicable, at least according to 4 major European states. That includes France, Britain, etc.
Yes. Is it possible to extend the first phase of the agreement as Israel wishes, or the agreement will go through the next phase?
There is absolutely no way that the Palestinians are going to accept to extend the first phase of the agreement, because what that means is that the Palestinians will be releasing prisoners of war without any promise to actually end the war. And we saw what Israel has been doing. They've been restricting the entry of food and medicine, and therefore they've been reneging on the first phase of the agreement anyway. So to extend the first phase of the agreement is something that only serves Netanyahu. It doesn't serve any other party, including the Israeli prisoners of war.
Well, how the 3 mediators will deal with the insistence of Israel to not completely withdraw its troops from Gaza and to not have the commitment to stop the aggression?
Well, the Israelis don't want to withdraw their troops from Gaza. Netanyahu is talking about keeping troops in Philadelphia, as well as reoccupying parts of Gaza again. What Netanyahu knows very well is that if there is an end to the war, he is going to lose his coalition. If that happens, he will most likely be heading to court to be prosecuted for his corruption charges. All of the polls show that any elections Netanyahu is going to lose. He does not have a chance of winning elections. So early elections are out of question regarding Netanyahu, at least from the perspective of Netanyahu, and therefore what he needs to do is to continue this, even if all Israeli prisoners of war get killed. That to them is not as important as keeping its coalition and staying out of it.
Well, after the Arab summit that held days ago, how can Egypt collaborate with the Arab leaders as they refuse the displacement of the Palestinians during the rebuilding of Gaza? What will be the plan of Egypt to reconstruct Gaza?
Well, the Egyptian plan is very clear. It shows very clear stages. There has to be a budget that is brought and contributed to from all over the world. And what needs to be done now is to achieve consensus over the plan. So Egypt, alongside all of the Arab states, have to put the effort in order to convince the whole world and to put a lot of pressure on the American administration to accept the plan. If that happens, then the plan is implementable and the plan is doable. And it's a practical plan. It is not a theoretical plan. It's a very practical plan that outlines all actions that need to be done in order to keep the Palestinians on their own land while rebuilding Gaza. And therefore, that's the next step, is to make sure that it achieves consensus. As many countries as possible support it, adopt it, and agree not only to support it, but to pressure the Americans to accept it. And also, of course, to contribute towards the budget that is needed, which Egypt estimates at around $65 billion.
Well, how the plan of Egypt aim to address the needs of approximately 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza?
By making sure that all of the aid continues to flow in. But a major part of the plan is to actually engage the Gazans in rebuilding Gaza, and therefore they get jobs, and they are able to achieve income, and therefore they become less and less dependent on aid. This is extremely important, and it's not just construction workers. That's not what the Egyptians are going to do, because in order for the construction workers to do what they need to do, there needs to be accommodations, there needs to be infrastructure, there needs to be support, all of the services, even restaurants, in order for people to eat, etc., etc. So what the Egyptians presented, which was very important, was to have the Palestinians as a priority work in rebuilding Gaza and running Gaza until Gaza is rebuilt and it's capable of having its own businesses, private sector, it can stand on its own feet, and therefore everything is going to be fine. And this is doable within 5 years, which is not much, to be honest. I mean, some people were talking about 50 years and 60 years, and it's impossible to rebuild Gaza in 100 years, and all of this is garbage. The Egyptians showed how you can act in 5 years, and you can engage the Gazans, and the Gazans are going to have an income, and therefore life is going to become sustainable. And so it was brilliant. With all honesty, it was excellent. It was brilliant, and it took everything into account. And this is extremely important. So a Gazan with any skill is going to work based on the skills that they have, and they are going to generate an income. They're going to be able to feed their families, and they are while they are rebuilding their territory.
Mr. Ramzy, moving to the issue of Syria, how do you see the situation there as it is escalating now in Syria, and what is the efforts of Egypt to support Syria to achieve peace in the region?
Well, what Egypt and most Arab states want to see is a unified Syria that is not touched by foreign powers. And as we all know, today there are several foreign powers that have a role inside of Syria, and that's not acceptable. How it is progressing, we are seeing that the new transient Syrian government is trying to control the ground in territories that it can. Yes. Israel took part of Syria and is controlling it right now. The Turks are playing a very big role. The Iranians are still playing a role, by the way. The Russians are negotiating their next role, but we are seeing people going into the Hmimin base and trying to seek protection from the Russians. What we need to, and of course we all know about all the big role that Israel played with the Druze. And the Druze territory is extremely important, by the way, because that is where the Silicon Quartz is. And this is a very, very, very important mineral that Israel wants, because this is badly needed for all new technology. And therefore, it may not be that the Israelis are in temporarily. I think that they are trying to occupy that part in order for them to be able to get their hands on that mineral. But this is the challenge. It's a huge challenge, and it has to be resisted. But there is something that is very important that happened between yesterday and today. Since the overthrow of the Syrian regime, we've been seeing so many videos come out about all of these military groups that are under the umbrella of the new Syrian Ministry of Defense. And these are military groups. They are not an army. They are not yet an army. So unifying them under the Ministry of Defense did not actually turn them into an army yet. They are militias, and these militias have committed crimes in the past. And we've been seeing videos of crimes being committed by them. But what is important that has happened between yesterday and today is that the Syrian government came out and said that we have arrested many of these members of the militias for crimes committed against civilians.
Well, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist, thank you so much for joining us today in Arab Affairs program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for the coming updates on the top of the hour. I'm Sarah Slim. Thank you for watching.